Hello crocheters, welcome to Crazy Cool Crochet. So good to have you here. Today we're going to work on this truly functional crochet tote bag. For this tote bag, we are going to use cotton yarn. So this particular yarn happens to be, I love this cotton twist because it's a combination here. The yarn has like an off-white or a light beige twisted with a red yarn. This is a number 4 medium weight, and we're using a 4.25 millimeter hook and some scissors. Those of you familiar with my channel, Crazy Cool Crochet, probably know me best for my wearables. I love making, designing crochet wearables. I also have quite a few designs and tutorials for home decor. Let's get started. We're going to start with a chain of 41. Then we're going to enter a single crochet in each chain across, starting in the second chain from the hook. So there's the first one, there's the second one. Just a regular single crochet. So work all the way across. At the end of the row, you will have 40 single crochets, chain 1 and turn. Now we're going to work a few rows of regular single crochet. This, by the way, is the bottom of the tote bag. And this will be a rectangle. And this will get us a medium-sized tote bag. Let's keep going with the single crochet. So we will start into that very first space. And then work into the next space, single crochet. So just go ahead and enter your single crochets all the way across. You should end up with 40. At the end of the second row, enter your last single crochet way over here in that little nub, under the 2 strands. Chain 1, turn, and then repeat. So you will be repeating row 2. Okay, you will have repeated row 2 for a total of 13 rows. And this will be about 3.5 inches after your 13th row of single crochets. Now we're going to work a row of single crochets all the way around. You worked your last single crochet, number 40. Now we're going to turn this so the side is facing you, and we're going to work 11 single crochets evenly spaced across. So just do your best with that. This is a very casual pattern. Now we're going to work our way down the other side with single crochets. Now this row is going to feel a little bit off or a little bit tricky. So what you're doing is working into each stitch so you get your 40 single crochets across. But because it's basically upside down and this is your foundation row, it does not feel the same or look the same as the single crochet rows you've been working with. Your hook will intuitively know where to go. So just go ahead and work your 40 single crochets across the row, and then back over to the other side, work your 11 After you've worked your 11th single crochet on that short edge, slip stitch into the next stitch and chain 1. Now we're going to work single crochets all the way around again. However, we're working in the back loop only of the single crochets below. Okay, so if you're using a multicolored yarn like this, it's not as simple to see as with a solid color yarn. So watch for those 2 strands that have formed at the top of the single crochet row below. There's the 2 strands. So you're working into the back strand, or working into the center rather than under both. Okay, so this is called back loop only single crochet. So work that all the way around. Now let me show you what we're doing here. Working in the back loop is going to cause this row to stand up. Can you see that? Let me turn this way. See how it's standing up? There's that little ridge that's forming. Then after this row, we'll be working our way up. Okay, now we've made our way all the way around that last edge, the short edge, and now we're back to where we started. You will have 102 single crochets worked all the way around. It's 40 on each side, 11 on each short side. Now we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 1. You can continue in regular single crochets for the entire tote. Okay, so you are working now again under the 2 strands. You're just working regular single crochets now. So that's it. And you can do this in the round, meaning you come back to where we started the row. You do not need to turn. We'll just keep going. Okay, so you would slip stitch in the beginning and then just keep right on going. No need to turn. Now you will have continued to work your single crochet rounds until you reach a length of 10.5 to 11 inches. Make sure you're not counting that bottom portion. So start from here and measure up. And then we're going to work on the handles. So after you work your last row, slip stitch as usual, and then work the first 7 stitches, and then you will make a chain of 30 for the handle. So just chain 30 and then skip. As you can see, I attached my version of stitch markers, just a strand of contrasting yarn. Okay, so now skip 30 single crochets, and then that's where you will attach the chain on the next stitch. Okay, so again, I left a stitch marker for myself. Okay, so skip 30 single crochets, attach the chain into the next single crochet with a slip stitch. Let me show you that. And then continue with your single crochets for 18 stitches. Now work another chain of 30. And again, skip 30 single crochets and then reattach into the next space with a slip stitch again. Continue in the single crochets until you get to the chain or to the handle. Now this time, instead of doing a slip stitch, just skip right over to the next single crochet. So you continue the single crochets across. Now you are going to work single crochets into each chain. So one single crochet inside each chain. And when you get to the end of the chain, continue in your single crochets, repeat what you just did, entering single crochets into the chain, and then we'll come back and finish this. Once you get back to the handle, we're going to start working in reverse single crochets. And this is to add a nice finishing touch to the whole thing. Okay, so you work your last single crochet, and now we're going to start working in reverse, or going backwards. So rather than working single crochets this way like we have been, we're going to be working single crochets going this way. If you've never done this before, it might take a few tries, but it's not at all difficult. Okay, so we're going to insert the hook into the previous stitch. Grab your yarn, pull it up for a single crochet. So you've got 2 loops on the hook. Pull through both loops, just like you would for a regular single crochet. And then insert the hook into the next space. Grab the yarn, 2 loops on the hook, pull through both loops. Insert the hook into the next space. 2 loops on the hook, pull the yarn through. That's it. So we're going to do this in each space until we get back to the next handle. So we've worked the reverse single crochet, also known, by the way, as a crab stitch. So you may have seen this or heard of this as a crab stitch. Okay, now into the handle. We are going to work around those single crochets. So rather than going into, we're going to work around and cover the single crochets with reverse single crochets. Okay, so just go around the handle, pull up your loop, pull through the 2 loops, and now just continue around. This will give your handle nice stability. I use that word a lot, don't I? It'll make it stronger. So keep going down. Okay, when I got to the end of the handle, I had done 15 of the reverse single crochets, and it looked like that, which is fine. You can leave it like that. Now I'm scooching my stitches over so that I can add a few more. Okay, so it's just a matter of pushing everything down. And of course, that's a personal preference. If you don't want to do that, you don't need to. You can just stop where you're at and then continue with your reverse single crochets to the next handle. Do your reverse single crochets around the handle, and then slip stitch when you get back where you started. After you slip stitch, when you come back to where you started your reverse single crochets, slip stitch, pull the yarn through, cut the yarn off and pull it through. Now come back around the back and weave that through several stitches. I like to use knots. So you can either weave it down, weave it across, whatever you prefer. I did use the full 30 crab stitches around the handle. Now for a little extra pop, we're going to add a tassel. This is entirely optional. Using the same yarn, winding it around a book. I want a nice long tassel. So this book is 9 inches long. And I always make sure, depending on the design, what you're working on, if I'm making a tassel, I work from the outside of the skein where the yarn is straighter. If you pull the yarn from the inside, it'll be more crinkly. So for this particular design, I would like a straight tassel. Okay, so you wind the yarn around and around, depending on how thick you want it. Then you cut it off the bottom. You take a single strand, about the same length, give or take. Now it's easier if you take the yarn, slide it through the front, now pull it up to the top, and now tie it. As tight as you can without breaking the yarn. Okay, this is where it's helpful if you can have somebody help you. I do not. Okay, so you want to knot it. See, it's not as tight as I would like up here because I didn't have help. Okay. Now cut along the bottom. Pull the tassel off the book. Now take another strand of yarn, again about the same length. Lay the yarn down on the table. Now lay the tassel on top of the yarn, the single strand. Now you want this about 1.5 inches from the top, and we're going to tie that. Okay, so now you can cut the ends to even them out. Complete a tassel. So what I did on mine is I just added an extra strand of solid red yarn just to give it a cute little band. Just a little extra something. And here I wanted to give you an idea of just how much this holds. This crochet tote bag. I have got 3 of these great big Super Saver size skeins of yarn. And you can see how this would be great for a tote bag to carry your whips around, your work in progress. So there I've got a little beanie I'm working on. So if you like my work, please give me a thumbs up in the bottom and keep watching, because it may already have popped up over here, but the next recommended video that you might like, go ahead and take a peek. Also, something new, please hang around and listen for my little spiel. Something new that YouTube is doing. They are allowing my viewers, Crazy Cool Crochet viewers, to give me an extra super thanks. There's a little button down below that says thanks, and if you click that, this is a way that you can support my work, that you can support your favorite creators, your favorite videos, monetarily. So you may or may not know, but it's a rare, the big channels that make the big bucks. For the rest of us little guys, not so much. All of these videos, the tutorials that I put out, are yours for free. My pleasure, really. I love what I do. However, it takes a good week, a full week, especially for wearables, for all the work that goes into it. The design, the execution, writing the pattern, creating the videos and the photos, and editing all of the above, writing and putting out the blog posts, Pinterest pins, creating all the graphics that go along. I mean, it just goes on, and don't forget Etsy. By the way, my Etsy channel, I'll leave a link here down below if you're interested in my patterns. But if you would like to say thank you and help me so I can continue to put out these tutorials, you can go ahead and give me a little bit of a thanks. That would be so awesome. And I would be forever in your debt. Okay, maybe not in your debt. I would be forever thankful. That works. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Please stick around, or come on back for the next video. Thank you, guys.